and Johnathan. Okay. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you both. Okay, so Majid, you're back. So let me tell me real quick the headline. What would you like to talk about, and then I'll ask Johnathan what his topic is. Well, just think of some specific questions, though, right? Because we don't have time to do a whole long strategic discussion together. Okay, but if you have some specific questions, sure, happy to discuss. Okay, and how about you, Johnathan? What's on your mind?
Yeah. So I am graduating from this program called Gauntlet AI in 2 days. Actually, been here for 7 weeks. I'm actually from San Diego, but I'm in Austin, Texas. Been putting in like 100 hours a week in this program, learning how to use AI coding tools. Mostly like Claude is my favorite, but the other folks in the program have used things like Cursor, Gemini, and we've been building products very rapidly. For a couple of weeks, we were building like 3 products a week. For the past couple of weeks, we've been kind of working on passion projects or a capstone project. My capstone project is one I'm working on with a security expert, and we're building a automated AI-powered agentic security platform. And the special thing about this product is that it can basically support the conversation between LLMs and people and prevent things like prompt injection and preventing the LLM from getting like improper access to the web services that might be deployed, supporting the entire platform. But the specific product I want to talk about is my project, which I'm not doing as my capstone, just because I'm working with a lady who used to work for Coinbase before she came here. So she's very experienced, and I just wanted to learn about security. But okay. The product that I'm would like to pitch, basically, I'm building on a framework. There's a thing called the breakthrough method for agile development, and so that's the way that you can use agents.
John, what's the question? That's all I need.
Oh well, yeah, I wanted to pitch. I'm sorry, I wanted to pitch, basically pitch a framework and a tool to support AI engineering, basically allowing software engineers to develop code with agents.
Okay, stop. That's good. Great. So you're going to pitch. That's all I needed, honestly. The rest of it is very interesting, though. That's why I let you keep going. Sounds like an amazing program. 100 hours a week? Man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's free, too. It's crazy.
Great. You must be learning. Wow, your head's probably exploding. Okay. So, well, given those two, well, why don't you do your pitch thing, and then we'll get into questions with you and with Mojid as well. Where are you, Mojid? You said Jonathan's in Austin. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix. Okay, cool. All right. Southwest night. All right, cool. All right. Well, Johnathan, if you don't mind, then why don't you were you here earlier? We did like a 2-minute pitch, and okay.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Let's have. All right. So Mojid, I'm going to turn you off for a second so we can focus on Johnathan, but you're still here, and we'll come back to you. Okay. Good to see you. Okay. So there's me and Johnathan. All right. So Johnathan, why don't you go ahead and give us? I'll put 2 minutes on and tell us about this product you've got in mind.
All right. So yeah, the inspiration from this product, I've been a software engineer and a machine learning engineer specifically for the past 6 years. Before coming to Gauntlet, I've built some really cool things, but it's taken quite a while. I've been able to build products in a matter of like 7 days that would have taken teams of like 5 engineers at least like three weeks or to 6 weeks to have an MVP. And that's all based on the power of coding agents. Like I said, Claude is my favorite agent of choice. And I like to implement a framework called BMAD. It's the breakthrough method for agile development. And what that does is allow you to assign personas to your agent so that your agent can take on the persona of a business analyst, a product manager, a scrum master, an architect, and ultimately the developer, and push through a bunch of stories that you develop pretty much in the same way that you would work with a product manager, develop epics, features, and stories, and store that in your Jira, right? And so the product that I'm pitching, I'm actually calling it Amara. The reason I'm calling it Amara is because that's a spin on AMARO. And the new framework I've developed is called AMARO, which is the automated method for aggregate readable output. So that's an iteration on BMAD. The thing about coding with agents is the important things to note while you're doing that is token management. So that's basically the cost for using an agent. Every time an agent receives input from you or creates output, so like any text, it's called tokens. And so, the different methods of approaching development have different costs associated with tokens. Some are more efficient and use less tokens, but I found that the more efficient methods usually create, a less desirable output and require more debugging. So I prefer BMAD, which does cost more tokens to develop with, but you get a more refined product at the end. And so what I've done is iterated on BMAD to make a more...
That's time. So finish up.
Yeah, so I've made a more cost-effective way to still use this agile development approach. And I've also wrapped this inside of an API and a native Mac OS application. And so, I'd like to take this to market and compete with things like Claude, which is making $83 million a month. My goal is to price mine at 70%, 75% of that price, and then provide, twice the output. So basically provide twice as many tokens to the users.
Okay, cool. Wow, it sounds like this program, what'd you say, Gauntlet was it called?
Yeah, Gauntlet AI.
Sounds like it's changed your life.
Absolutely.
You've seen the future.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of Bloom Tech or Alpha School or Lambda School.
Lambda.
Yeah, the founder of this school used to run Lambda School and is pivoted. So now the program is funded by the companies that hire us. So I got a job while I was here. So I'll be back home in San Diego working for a company based in LA. But yeah, there's a bunch of partners that fund this program. That's why it's free. I've been staying in this really nice hotel this whole time.
Cool.
They're taking care of all the food. And so we've been developing projects for these, these partner companies.
Oh, I see. Right.
And we've met so many different people. I can name drop so many really cool companies. One I would definitely tell you to look at is Peak Six.
Okay.
That's actually where Robinhood came from.
Oh.
It's $1 billion company based here in Austin, and they're going to get into prediction markets, which is huge.
Oh,
and that's what my goal is, to take this tool that I just mentioned, the Amara tool, and start developing solutions for the prediction markets, because that's going to be huge over the next few years.
Huge. Yeah, no doubt. Okay. So super cool. So, let me give you some pitch feedback then. And of course, everybody that else is listening, if you were listening and heard what Johnathan said and you have suggestions what he could say better or differently, please chime in the chat room, right? That's why we're here. So, okay. So very interesting. You like to talk. So maybe you're nervous, but you got to be a lot more concise, right? So I'm just saying this is your friend, right? So you had 2 minutes and it was about 90 seconds of preamble. And then suddenly you told me what you actually do, which was we're a more cost efficient something API to reduce token costs and compete with Claude at 75% off for twice the output. Start there. Right? I don't need all the hand waving and big picture and table setting like stuff. Just tell me what you're doing, right? Because that's investors are not going to sit still otherwise, right? And that was a great pitch, right? But it was like way after all this other stuff, right? So tell me the specifics, and then from there you'll have, that'll, if you do it right, that'll only take 10 or 15 seconds. You'll have another minute and a half, even though the quick pitch, right? Then I would want to hear. Because what you didn't have time to get to is like, who's the target market? And you started talking about that as soon as we called time, and you kind of said, these folks and these folks, and like in prediction markets or whatever, because it's obviously a very niche sort of thing, right? Most people, I barely even understood what you're talking about, right? If you start throwing around words like Jira and BMAD and token management, most people have no idea what you're talking about. They don't even know what agile is, right? So you got to be really careful to size or level your pitch to who you're talking to, right? And most of that will go right over a lot of people's heads, right? Because you're a real developer, right? So that seems natural to you, but most people know what Jira is, right? I barely do. So you got to be careful to bring the, as my dad used to, bring the hay down to where the horses can eat it. Most of us are just horses, right? So and start with we do this for these, kind of I was saying earlier, I don't know if you were here, but like positioning statement, we do this for these kind of people and we make this kind of money this way, or something like that, so that we could, okay. And then you can start getting buzzwordy and stuff. And then the real question would be, as an investor, I'm immediately wondering like competition, what defensible moats do you have? Like I can't do it, but like a lot of people claim they can do this kind of thing these days. Like what is your unique selling proposition or whatever buzzword you want to use, so that it becomes something specific for that specific market. And that seems to the answer to me is like you would start in a specific market to have like a beachhead, where, like I said, something that Claude's doing, but you'll do it for 75% off for twice the output in this, niche of a niche that, again, I may not have ever heard of, but if you can drop the name of a company that's, like you said, they're doing what did you say, 83 million a month? Right there. Yeah.
Well, Anthropic is the umbrella
yeah.
is one of their products.
Yeah. Well, and as you know, probably the Anthropic is kind of under the radar to the general population because they're all B2B, right? The people hear about ChatGPT and Gemini and even Grok, right? But they don't necessarily know that there's a ton of money being made that the average consumer doesn't even know about. But you're already on the other side of that bridge, so it sounds like a big juicy target you've got there.
Yeah. So to be clear, I was looking this up. My target would be the 500,000 software developers in the country. And again, I want to do it at 75% of the cost of Claude. So I'm looking at $150 a month subscriptions, right? And even with only 1% of that, that's $750,000 a month.
Okay.
And overhead for that is really only going to be about like 25 or 250,000 a month. So the margins are pretty huge.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So that kind of stuff is what we want to hear, right? Because as soon as you start talking, this is for everybody, not just Jonathan, as soon as a founder starts pitching, we're trying to do equations, right? Like, what are they doing? How much does it cost? How many can they sell? Like, we're trying to do arithmetic all the time. We think in spreadsheets, right? So you got to give us a lot of numbers, and the sooner you've got numbers, right? So just throw them out there, and they're good numbers, they're big numbers, right? Just be careful, though, as long as I'm saying that. Investors don't like it so much when people say it's $1 billion market from the top down, and if we just get 1%, we're rich. Well, it's much more impressive to work from the bottom up, kind of like you did it a second later, which was 500,000 software developers. If we have 4% market penetration and an average of whatever, $100 a month and an average life of 18 months, that kind of arithmetic that is bottom up unit economics is much more impressive because it shows that you've thought through the mechanics of the business. Because anybody can say, we sell water, everybody drinks water, there's 7 billion people, and if we capture 10%, we've got 700 million customers. Like, that's bullshit, right? It does not help anybody.
I appreciate you for framing it this way, because that's what I did it out of order. That was my reason for and like focusing so much on the framework, because the thing that, like, when you sign up for Claude or these other tools, they don't do is they don't give you a framework on how to use their tool efficiently. Like, why would they? They want you to blow through a bunch of tokens.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. This is an educational component to what you're saying. Absolutely. Investors don't want to invest in things where people are trying to change market behavior. They don't like to, at least I don't, invest in things where like vitamins, like everybody should take more vitamins. So we need $1 million from you. Like, okay, but that no. But if it, like what you're saying, this is actually a business use case that will bring their costs down with a little bit of education, that could be a real competitive advantage. Yeah. And it's like kind of an onboarding almost.
And that's the thing you mentioned ChatGPT and Grok. This, like, people, like you said, I'm definitely, this whole program has got me, like, I feel like I'm 10 years in the future. This is Grok. If you could ask Grok 100 questions, but like you didn't need to, you could just ask Grok the first question. It would figure out the next 100 questions and answer them for you, and build the system and the product that you want at the end of it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, we're gonna have to move on, but I would encourage you that I would keep pulling on that thread, because that's the kind of example that even non-techies would get, right? Because everybody at this point has at least used ChatGPT, but as you're just saying, they're like, whatever, imagine you put in one question and it leads, you have to ask 14 more questions, and then you spent whatever, $400 on tokens.
Oh yeah.
We'll do that. One question will answer itself, and it'll only cost you $4.87 or whatever. Like that's a use case that the real use cases would be great for something like what you're talking about, because it's really hard for us civilians to get our heads around it.
And last thing I'll jump in the chat. I'm going to put 2 things in the chat, 2 YouTube videos. One is a video of one of the founders that I talked to, and he thinks he's going to build a $1 billion business with 1 employee. I was trying to be that employee. He didn't hire me, but I got another job. And then I'll put another video, which is just a demo of the tool that I'm talking about. Cool. And that's only like a 2-minute video.
Right.
But yeah, thanks, Scott. This is only my second time on. I'll definitely make sure and be on a lot more often. This last 10 weeks has been crazy, but I
Like
caught one before that. But I'll definitely catch a lot more coming up.
awesome. Well, nice to see you again. Glad you came back for more.
Thank
All right.
you.
Well, so that was Johnathan Skeete. Okay.